Welcome back to Save the Panel. This is Darren, and today we have the brand new Zooz ZSE50 Siren Chime. This little device is fairly awesome, has a very loud siren. You can program this with your own audio files. It is just a little delight. So we're going to take it out of the box, we're going to put it through its paces, and give it a good old-fashioned review. First of all, a big thank you to Zooz for providing the siren and chime for today's review. Be sure to check out the links in the description for more information on the ZSE50 and other Zooz Z-Wave products. Okay, so here we are, need some focus, better. This is the ZSE50 800 long-range siren and chime. And it's a cool little box. Programmable chime, smart alarm sound, and battery backup. I really have some interesting ideas for this guy. So first off, here's the user manual, which has all the requisite goodies. And we'll get back to a review of parameters via the website shortly. And there it is, relatively compact. Nice little form factor. I love the fact that it just has tines on it to plug right into the outlet. And battery backup. We've got a volume control, selectors on the side, spot for a light, and that looks like there's a cable. That's the USB port, which I imagine is for loading sound files and probably not for power, but we'll figure this stuff out together here. With the fact that it plugs right in like that and has a battery backup, I have some additional ideas of maybe using this for maybe power monitoring, but we'll see. Okay, so before we get into any hands-on with the device, let's get into the manual here and see what it has for us. Of note, it does have a battery backup, which will provide battery power for up to 24 hours, which gives it some great utility and unlocks additional uses for this beyond an announcement tool or simple sound device. So of particular note is the maximum volume of this device, which is 90 dB, which is pretty loud. So if we compare that to an alarm system panel, I think we might find it's pretty close. Let's take a look here at just kind of go into the Surety site for some info. So it looks like a 2 gig edge and an IQ Panel 4 both use an 85 decibel siren sounder built in. Of course, you can get external sirens that are louder, but that would mean that this ZSE50 is actually slightly louder than the alarm panel itself, which means I think it's perfectly suitable to be used as an auxiliary alarm in that situation. It'll do a maximum number of 50 playback sounds, has 16 megs of internal storage. It'll support both MP3 and WAV. One thing of note is it's indoor use only. It's kind of evident by its wall wart style. Be great if the next product out would be a outdoor waterproof model. We could animate all kinds of holiday lighting and sounds with this little device, but getting ahead of myself. So moving on. So as I've said before in my videos, I always love to start with a review of the advanced settings for any new Z-Wave device that we get. And without spending too much time here, in true Zooz fashion, they have quite a number of configurable parameters. A few that are of note: the playback mode, rather than just playing that file once, it can play in a loop. It can play for a set number of times, play until canceled by user, which gives it a lot of flexibility. Playback duration, playback loop count. The playback tone parameter 4, that's literally what tone you're going to play by default. So if you just tell the siren to play, whatever's in parameter 4 will be its default action. By the way, if you do direct association to it, a little tip, this is what will play if you send a command, say from a light switch. or a motion sensor to the siren, it will play what is in parameter 4, which is very handy. The same with the default volume, parameter 5. LED indicator mode, there's a color wheel, so 0 to 255 in terms of color. The indicator mode, as far as is it a solid on, is it strobing, is it pulsing, and my personal favorite, is it a red and blue strobe like the police are on their way? I think that's pretty cool. Low battery reporting, we'll touch on this in a second. There are some unique reports that the device gives when it loses battery power, when it loses AC power, and when it gets it back, which you can leverage for other automations, which is incredibly handy. And the rest of this is fairly self-explanatory, but those are the highlights. So great job, Zooz, as usual, getting some really good parameters in there right from the get-go. Next up, and I won't go through this in too much detail, is how to upload and manage sound files on the device. It is a little different, and maybe it's because I'm on a Mac that I am having a different experience. But basically, the device comes preloaded with a number of files, and here they are. There's 25 that come in there. In my experience, what happens is when I just add a file, it tends to go to the beginning of the list and push all of them down, which I'm not sure if it's supposed to do that, to be honest, but that's what's happening on my Mac. So what that means is that, let's say you had an automation set for tone number 2, which is door closed, and then you add 2 of your own files to it. In my experience, it was making door closed sound number 4. So I had to adjust my automations then after adding files. So wherever I had a 2 referenced for the door closed, I had to change it to a 4. The other important thing is that when you add or remove files from the device, you have to re-interview the device in your Z-Wave hub in order for it to recognize the changes. Okay, so let's get this thing plugged in and take a look at the files on it. So first things first, we'll plug this in and get it some power. Okay, so we have it connected up with the USB. I have it going into a docking station port replicator over there. So let's see if we can see this on our computer. I'm using a Mac. Let me just get you up there. Here we are. It comes up as no name. We've got the files. Nice. So I'm going to download a copy of all these for safekeeping before we manipulate any. And of course, we can play a few. But I'll connect this to the camera directly, and we can get a much better visual for you guys. Okay, so here we are. We are now connected to the device, and these are the sound files. Now, of course, we can play them if we really want to. Not sure if you can hear that on my computer speaker, but they just are playable MP3s. And you can delete or add the files right from here. Now, when you change the files that are on here, you do need to re-interview the device in your hub. In this case, I have it connected to Home Assistant. What's interesting, and I found this out the hard way, is when you interview the device, the USB cable has to be disconnected. So we're going to go ahead and eject the ZSE50, and what I'm doing now is I'm physically unplugging the cable, and when you do that, the yellow light will flash, and we wait for the yellow light to stop flashing, which takes just a second. It's flashing still, and there we go. Now I have a green light, and the light went out. So now we can, we could re-interview the device if we wanted to. So at this point, I spared everyone the inclusion process. As you can imagine, that went flawlessly. So here we are in Home Assistant. And here's the siren. It is a known entity, or excuse me, a known issue that it will come up as unknown product, but it does work fine. You can see here that all the parameters do light up appropriately and all that good stuff. And then here under sound switch is where the default tone is, and the default volume, and all that good stuff. So if we do a play tone right here, this will actually play the tone if I send the parameter.
Door closed.
So it just said door closed. I'll do it again.
Door closed.
There we go. And you can see we'll just pick the items. So here's what's peculiar about adding them. So you'll notice that 1 is alert door open, 2 is alert door closed, and so forth. So actually, let's do a screenshot of that just in case you want to refer back to it in a second. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a couple of custom sounds on the device. So I am now plugging in the USB cable once again. And I will bring up Finder here. You can see here I have a folder of sounds that I created. Actually, one I downloaded, one I created with AI, and the other 2 are just my voice. So if we go here, and so here we are with the ZSE50 mounted. So we're just going to go here to our 4 new files. We're going to copy these and paste them onto the ZSE50. If I can find the word paste. There we go. So these are copying over. Now what's going to happen is a little fun thing when you're on a Mac, right, is that while it looks pretty here in Finder, if we were to actually look at the files on the USB, we're going to see that the good old Mac metadata or resource files have appeared. Those are the files that start with a period and an underscore at the beginning. Let's see if we do an ls-la and we look at the top of the list. Sure enough, here we go. Here are these resource files, and the actual files are down below. So here's close the door MP3, here's period underscore MP3, close the door MP3. So what that's going to do is if you were to re-interview the device right now, you'd get these 4 bogus files with the period underscore, and they won't play, and they're going to mess up your list. So we need to get rid of those. The most direct way to do it is, let's just go back to our regular directory, and that is to do this command, which is .clean -m and the path to the USB. That should remove those period underscore files. I'll put this in the note. And you may get an error, but that's okay. I believe it actually still works. Let's just double check. And it did. So we don't have our resource files anymore, but we do have the MP3s we copied over, such as close the door and whatnot. So given that, let's close terminal, and now we want to re-interview. And important thing is to make sure you disconnect your USB connection and physically unplug the cable, which I'm doing right now. And once the light on the front of the ZSE50 stops flashing yellow and goes to green, we can go ahead and re-interview the device here in the hub. In this case, of course, I'm at Home Assistant. Okay, so I'm good. So it's under the node. When you have the node up, this green advanced button, and we want to do this, which is re-interview node. So we're going to hit interview, and as soon as I hit this, I'm going to go into events over here on the left so I can watch the interview process, because that's just the way I am. You do not need to check reset security classes. Just say okay, do the X, and we'll watch events. And we can watch this interview fly by here in the parameters. And you also see this progress wheel up here. Okay, so it plays, when it's done being interviewed, it does play the sound it thinks is assigned as its default. And it looks like one of our new sounds actually showed up there, because it about made me jump out of my chair. Okay, so sure enough, now we go over into sound switch. here it is, fault.mp3. It now has index number 2, and that's what it just played, by the way. So if we look at our list now, you'll see that the new ones we added went to the top of the list and pushed all the others down. And this is what I talked about a minute ago. So if you had a pre-existing automation, say doing number 6 here, and then added a couple of files, well, that may move down to say number 8. So you need to be a little careful if you add tones later that you keep them in line. And I'm not sure if this is something that the folks at Zooz, or maybe as we all play with this, we might be able to find a workaround to make this work better. But for now, that's kind of where we're at. Okay, so how in the world do you use this thing? I'm just going to do a real quick demo of what a few things I've done with it, but I want to show you in Home Assistant some interesting configuration options. So this is the siren itself. One of the things I did was I established a direct association connection between this guy, which is a ZSE41 door contact that I have here on the bench. And if I go into groups, you'll see here I've got from root endpoint on off to the siren. So what that means is when that door opens, it's going to send an on-off command to the siren. And well, how in the world does the siren know what to do with that? Well, if we go down here to the siren into sound switch right here, the default tone ID, which is alert door open, is what's going to play. So sure enough, if I pull this door sensor open.
Door open. Door closed.
Okay, so the door open is playing, right? So you notice that it also said door closed. That's not happening from direct association. That's happening with an automation. So to do the door closed, since direct association is not going to send a different command, we have an automation for that. So we're saying that if the door contact is closed for at least 1 second, then we are going to do a couple of things. This one is I'm changing the color of the LED, but this actually makes the siren make noise. So I'm turning the siren on. I'm setting the tone to number 6. Now see, this is why I said earlier, all that business of which sound file was which number becomes important, because it's referenced by number, not by name. Maybe that could be changed in the future, but for now, that's the way it is. And you can set the volume. And then when I'm done, I'm setting the LED color back to a standard. That's just my personal preference. You know, be that as you like, right? So the other thing is I have a little fun thing in here, which is door left open, and you'll see the demo in a second what that does. Similarly, I set up a power fail. So if, you know, we had said a minute ago that if this thing loses power, that we would know, and that is very true, we do. So right here, if we look at the entity of the ZSE50, there is AC mains reconnected. And if it goes to unplugged, we know that power was lost. So in that case, we're going to turn on tone number 4 to say, hey, power's gone. Now you can imagine you can add logic to this to send you a note on your phone, you know, send some lights, you know, do whatever you want to do to alert yourself that, hey, this circuit has lost power. Conversely, when the power comes back on, when the power is restored, we also can sense for that and send a different message if we wish. So this is just scratching the surface, but just to give you an idea of how it looks in Home Assistant. I'm sure you can get lots of ideas.
I've just picked up a fault in the AE35 unit.
This is a ZSE41 door sensor from Zooz that I've connected. So
Door open. Door closed.
And what if your family loves to leave the door open? You can even
Door
customize that.
Close the door. The heat is on. Do you think I'm made of money?
Door closed.
Power failure detected. Power restored. So that concludes our review of the ZSE50 Siren Chime. Certainly a very flexible device. You could use it in a number of ways. You may have noticed I did not test it with the IQ4 alarm system, which usually I do. These already come with a note from Zooz that they are not typically compatible. I did test it. It is not compatible with the IQ4. However, I think I have some ideas, so keep an eye out for a future video where we may hack something together there. But I do appreciate your time, and thank you for joining me on this journey. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share if you are so kind. I look forward to seeing you on the next video or seeing you online. Have a great day.